And we thank for the gifts and everything. You follow us, we follow you.
Did you tell them
Uh,
what it was?
Memorial Day weekend
Sunday service with the Morrisons.
and Memorial Day weekend. Uh, um, it's a happy and a sad moment. Those of us that serve, especially the combat veterans, uh, we do remember falling because we've seen people leave and not come back. Don't forget while you're doing all the barbecue, the family get together, uh, who sacrificed and who served, and the ultimate sacrifice. Mainly, that's what Memorial Day is about. It began. This day began back in 1868 for the Union. You know, the Northern um, soldiers at the time, and it's a long going thing. But sometimes we get lost in all the good eating and things of that nature. So just just remember that part.
We got a question.
Just my wife is gonna address the questions because I don't read the screen as well as her.
So somebody asked a question. What top three words would you each use to describe each other? Thought that was quite interesting.
Okay, you go with that. I wasn't flowing with that one. With that here.
Okay. We just want to address it, but we'll answer the question after you finish the Memorial Day thing.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to go on that, but the thing is, just uh, uh, show honor to the people and the families that lost loved ones and sacrifice and did what you can. One of the Marine generals said, if you wait till a Marine is in trouble to to help, it's usually too late.
Too late.
So uh, the war is not always on the battlefield. It's what we go through while we in service. Uh, being a naval combat veteran, working 28 hours a day, and some people say, "How could you work 28 hours a day? It don't exist." But we actually would stay up that long, and we actually had a guy, one on an aircraft carrier. I'm just going to share this story. Aircraft carrier, if you turn it around back in the day, it was over $10,000 worth of fuel to turn around. But if you lost somebody at sea, because it's a floating city, 8,000 plus, if you lost somebody at sea, you had to turn around even in the dark and search. And it's like the movie, if you ever check it out, Pitch Black, can't see nothing out there. We had to put birds in the sky. That's what we call our helos and what have you then, and divers in the water. And we looked for this person for hours and hours and hours. And the
You ever found them?
story sounded a little funny then, be, afterward, because after all these hours of searching, it was um it was one of the engineers. Uh, he was found between two big pieces of equipment, pretty much passed out from working 32 hours straight. The commanding officer didn't have no pity. This guy was severely paid for that. We laughed at it back then, but that's trauma. And these are the things that sometimes you come home and and, and you die early. There's a guy now. He's a corpsman. One of my roommate was a corpsman. They do the same thing like a nurse or EMT does out here. Pretty much the same, and even more so because you deal with actual
Emergencies.
yeah, and trauma like most people can't imagine. But it's one called Doc Todd. He just passed at 38. He he went through a few of the campaigns we had, and he served a great purpose. He was also a spokesman for a lot of veterans, and he brought the thing forward. You are your brother's keeper, and that means our sisters too. It's not limited to any gender. You serve, you serve. Um, and also uh, keep in mind even the suicide is part of the trauma. It's something that we come back and we deal with. And like I said, every veteran's life that's lost is not just on the battlefield, because the battlefield is back here at home too when we get home. So sometime not being able to find a home, and sometime coming back and being labeled as dangerous, and every veteran is not out there to live a life of of bringing stuff home, bringing stuff home, and not knowing how to deal with it. So it's a lot of labels and a lot of things we have to deal with after coming home. It's not the same attention that all the other campaigns got, like the Vietnam, but it there are some issues. So keep in mind when you celebrating Memorial Day, remember the ones that come home and their lives are cut short through the trauma or the things they have to go through dealing with. Sometimes even your management and your supervisor, you have to deal with the harassment and what have you. And I could go deeper on that, but it's a lot to deal with. So in honor of all veterans, keep in mind we doing it for the ones that paid the ultimate sacrifice. So if you know any way to help somebody who's heading down that road of paying the sacrifice at home, or you can stop or turn that around, you turn it around, and keep in mind the battle is not just one on the battlefield. It's one back here at home
And in the mind.
and in the mind. You have anything else to share on that, Tammy, while you're reading? But thank everyone for your service, and and just keep in mind.
Right. And I think that's important because, especially to understand for those people that, we run into them all the time. They say, oh, you see that?
No, you have to read that too.
It said termination will ensure if user does not end live video within 5 minutes. What is that?
I don't know, but
Oh, it's a joke.
oh,
Okay, good. I'm like,
I
that's
don't
so
know why you're
crazy.
reading that stuff. I can't pay that no more. Uh,
But
my wife is over here trying to read the jokes and getting all serious, and
no, not that.
uh,
Um, oh Lord Jesus. Anyway, um, so I was saying that, this that's helpful when you think about, we run into people all the time that are like, oh, I wanted to serve, or I wish I could have served, and all this kind of stuff. And then my husband will share a lot of times that, maybe it wasn't for you to serve. Maybe you might not have made it back home if you went over there in combat, because, we've been in combat for what, 40, 50 years now.
yeah,
And so pretty much. And so, yeah, it has been that long.
yeah, we're one of the longest countries as far as doing this. This is why when people talk about uh, who can do this to us, that to us, we are actually professional fighters because we've been in it so long. We've been in the mix, and anybody in the world that have any sense, they know that there's no equal. That said, let's be all about peace, because the world is a small place, and it's not about who has the biggest and the baddest and the longest or the smallest. It's just about peace.
Right.
The world is small, and as out of the 20 something countries I visit, I I I love I fell in love with people all over, from and I don't want to name all the countries because I don't want anybody to be upset that they were left out or that I love the country that they despise because there's great people everywhere in the world.
In the Navy
Yeah,
was a good.
I just wish I would just wish more people in America could travel and had their passport to get to know how small the world really is and how much
Yes.
love is around the world, from the deepest parts of Africa to the farthest part of North Africa in the Middle East, to all of Europe, to India, to the Asian countries, to you name it. These are beautiful people, beautiful places. Um, uh, talk about some of the traumas. Uh, we we were in one area where we lost over 200 people, uh, and most of them was mixed service, U, U.S. and allies. And one of my high school buddies was on land. He just happened to be a Marine, so he was on land when it happened. And out of his unit of about eight eight plus or so specialty unit, he was the only one that survived. And he went from a practical joker that went to uh, uh, Andrew Jackson High School with me in Queens, New York, to being this. When I first seen him when we hit land back here in the States, he was just a different person. I didn't recognize him mentally. So I seen the trauma in some of my closest friends. He was me and my brother's best friend in high school, and we just happened to be really close in the military. The Navy, they joke about the Marines, the Marines joke about the Navy, but when when uh, when it comes down to the metal, we're all brothers and sisters. So to see the trauma on this person, and then he had a double trauma because when he got back home, he was a friend of my younger brother, and I was a friend of his older brother. We were equal in age, and his older brother was out there in East New York and Brooklyn, and somebody came and asked him for a cigarette. This was the time when we just got back to land. He came back and asked him for a cigarette, and while he was patting his pocket, said, "No, I ain't got no cigarette." He went to go on, and somebody shot him in his back. Was a setup. Uh, so he he so my buddy the Marine had to rush to New York as soon as he got back to check on his brother. Uh, uh, and his brother, we were hardcore in Andrew Jackson. His brother was like football material. I said material because I don't know if he stayed on the team long, but he was definitely he was hardcore. Uh, um, but he was laying up in the hospital when my buddy the Marine got there, and he was laying up in the hospital talking about this N word couldn't even kill me right, so he was even bragging about that he hadn't changed. But I just shared that small story to tell you the traumas are real, and struggling with the VA to get these traumas authenticated is a whole nother thing. So if you can,
That's trauma in itself.
yeah, that's trauma in itself dealing with that. If you could help anybody, and it's a lot of prideful veterans out there that felt like they don't owe they're not owed anything. But what you have to remember, if you're like me, you went in at 17, your mother signed you in, or whatever, you went in perfect, or else they wouldn't have took you. And I was guilty of it. I went to Walter Reed down in Maryland for my out to get checked out and everything to get out. I just wanted to rush out of there. I just said no, no, no. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the love. I just I just wanted to get out of there. And now years later, I realized that I wasn't perfect back then, and I had a lot of broken things and hospitalized for this or that while I was in service, and doing the fight afterwards is something. It's really something. We didn't want to. That this is really important. I could go on and on for veterans because
Thank you for your service.
it's an honor with all departments, and now we have the space, the Space Corps. They're awesome people, by the way. This is something I talked to my daughter about joining before she decided to go to in the way of toward law school. We won't talk about that though. But they're awesome people, and the Coast Guards are an important part. They're the world police, and they're definitely part of the Defense Department doing any combat, and not to leave out the Air Force and Marines and Army. I actually have got my start in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and did a lateral to the in the Navy. That just me. Your ass is so dumb you don't go through basic training. Basic training is so you can learn the basics. And my ass got on a ship in a few weeks after being in the Navy, and before I knew it, I was fisticuffed with about 3 Marines, and I thought they were trying to jump me, but they were trying to keep me out of an area where there was a loose bomb. And I didn't know the terminology because I didn't get the basics. So
Which didn't make no sense.
going from the Army to the Navy.
It was almost a setup.
Yeah, but I'm glad I didn't. And and I thought the Navy didn't look that tough back then. I see these guys in
Thank you, yourself.
I seen these guys in these khaki shorts, and you didn't. They look like the village people. No disrespect, but this is back in the day. They had the khaki shorts. They were kind of fitted khaki shorts with the black boots on and the tight tees and these guys was something I never seen before. At the age of 20, I went in. I got transferred over, and I didn't know nothing about Navy SEALs. So I said, you know what? Let me go over there and try to do what those people across the street are doing. And they kind of got the whiff that I was prior Army. So there's some extra torture they had for me. Back then, it was legal to torture and punish and sometimes even maim. We laugh at that now, but I seen some damage. But I went through what you call buzz training, and we call Great Lake, Great Mistake, Illinois, and and at one point, when one of those funny looking guys with the khaki shorts who was kicking my ass every day, see me drowning and asked me was I okay, and squatted down. He was the chief, and I say yes, chief, barely catching my breath. And he just took his boondock boots, that's what they were called back then, and just kicked me back in the water. And and that day I had to say, do you really want to do this? And that taught me a big thing in life. Just because you can, maybe you shouldn't. And I respect my brother SEALs, but it wasn't for me. Uh, um, but I got a pat on the back for trying, for stepping forward and saying, but they're ultimate fighters for real, for real.
Yeah.
Every branch have their ultimate.
And
But
thank you for your service.
thank everyone for your service, and let's remember what the day is really for. this is the weekend, but it should be celebrated every day because it's only a small percentage of us that really sacrifice. And it's a very small percentage that pays the ultimate sacrifice, but a small is too many.
Yeah.
Um, eh, maybe more people should have some of the basics training we have because uh, um, there's discipline in that. There's motivation. There's directions in life and how to deal with things and overcome. Um, I'm glad I did it. I have a lot of buddies that say if something go down, I'll do it again. I'm not that person. I'm glad it's done.
Well, it was Navy,
Yeah,
right? Never
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Volunteer
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Oh, my wife just threw out that acronym for Navy. Never again volunteer yourself. You see the letters right there, right? Exactly. And sometimes I have to be careful because I still work in civilian life, and sometimes I throw that out there, and then I realize I said, "Oh man, that was my manager." I just said that too. But luckily they know a little bit about old salt. We stay salty. It don't come out. You know we stay salty, dog, and we say things and do things around civilians. They say, "What the heck?" Like, when I was out for a short while, like I said, Navy guys say anything, girls do. But I told this guy he offered me something fat and something we have to fit in our nice white uniforms in the Navy. So we used to use things like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lose my girlish figure. And I say that to a civilian. Oh man, they did not leave me alone. So it's going to stay in you. Hopefully, you can find joy in it because when people laugh at me, I laugh at myself. I've been like that almost all my life. I laugh at myself because if you fight it, it just get worse. So
Right.
if somebody's on point, you got to give them, you got to give them, you know. But that said, anything else besides remembering the ones who paid the ultimate sacrifice?
I think that should cover it.
Yeah, exactly. But we wanted to really come on too to talk about older and younger generations, how the word this is Sunday service, so talking about the word, it talks about being patient with our children, being patient with the younger people,
And honoring the elder.
and honoring the gray hair, the elder. And a lot of times I don't see that done on both sides. Uh, we expect the younger people to grow up quick. We expect a 28, 20, 29, maybe even 32-year old to act like this or act like that, or you should have this, or you should be at this point in life. There's no rule, there's no book for that. So we have to get over the fact of the achievements that we did. And I was guilty too. I said, well, you need to grow your ass up. I was growing at 17, but that's a lie. They told me, the military told me I was growing at 17, but my ass was just as silly as I can be sometimes, you know. And it was like the younger people today. I'm a grown ass woman. I'm a grown ass man. If you have to say that, there's some issues there.
They
But
were
I
probably
had,
not.
yeah, I had that mentality. You know what? They told me I could drink on base, so I'm grown. And it's a lot more to adulting and being grown. And some of you are in your 50s and you feel like that you haven't achieved much in life. You know, I'm above that, and Tammy, don't mind me saying,
No.
Tammy is above that. So, but we are fortunate that we matured, and our maturity come from Tammy. You don't mind me talking about the medical field, right?
No.
Tammy's been in the medical field for over 30 years, and I've been soldiering, you know, that terminology meaning military period for about the same, and being a civilian and going through the different jobs and going through, you know, being a brother on the job out here, you learn you learn people. You know,
Hmm.
it took me a while to transition to civilian life because I was used to everything being in systematic.
Hmm.
And we joked about it in the military by using one word, civilian, when something would go wrong. No disrespect to anybody here. And I started seeing that more and more, and I had to draw back and start being patient and realizing that I was no longer in a position of lead company commander over two 200 and something HTA schoolers, um, and having an office with secretaries and everything like that. Now I got to get down to the grind now. And
You
it
got
took
to type your own stuff.
right, and it took me a while to get over all of that. And but I'm glad my heart always been humble because you know uh in the military your supervisors can be half your age or they can be way younger than you or what have you. It all depends on the education and what have you. For instance, I had this one situation in the Navy as a E3, E4. Um, I had my chief, no, my division officer, which is most branches they considered. I forgot this guy was a first or second lieutenant. But most branches they would be called lieutenant. He was there, and my E6 was there, my first class, and I was getting chewed out for something that I probably did, but I was getting chewed out, and I was standing there taking like a man. And being a Brooklyn kid, you have to, if you're gonna chew me out, you have to have a level of respect. If you know what I'm saying, I think you know what I'm saying. But at that time, the division officer seen, I think he seen that I wasn't flinching, but I was staying at parade, rest, showing respect and everything. And the division officer I'm 23, I'm at my peak, if you know what I'm saying, in every way. And I know the system and all of that stuff. I knew, I read everything, studied. And this dude says, he's 20, I'm 23, he's like 21, straight out of Annapolis, Maryland, where the naval grads go. He must have started like when he was 10, because this dude, but anyway, he 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 seen it. I wasn't flinching, so he just pointed his finger in my face. And he said, "And I will kick your ass." And he said it almost just like that. And I said, "Sir, due to all respect," and you had to say that, "there's nothing between us except air." I said, "Let's go." And when I said that, he said, "I will ruin your career." And I'm telling you, people, I learned how to be humble after that day because he did everything you could imagine. And then I got to my new command over almost 2 years later. And I don't know if some of you know what a chief warrant officer is, but a CWO3 is almost not seen in the Navy. That means he nobody messes with him because they confuse about chief warrant officers because they come up through the rank, but they really not officers, and they
But they
really
are.
not. Yeah, they are officers, but they're not like in that category, and they're respected by the enlisted. So nobody really messes with them, and it goes up to I think C5 or whatever. but you don't see these people. They're like Santa Claus. You know they exist, but you never see them. Uh, and almost that way. For those of you who have doubt. But anyway, I got to my new command, and this CW03 is sitting behind a desk, and he says, uh, uh, I heard about your ass. If you pull that, he didn't say it so nice. If you pull that here, I will bury your ass. And I was, all I could say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And he, I'm an E4 at the time, and he says, but I'm a believer in new beginnings. And the man, he helped push me to college and all this other stuff while I was there. So, that said, but I learned to shut my mouth. I said, now I know that man wasn't going to kick my ass. I should have just let him blow off steam.
Yeah, because he probably couldn't.
Right, right. But that said, we were trying to get on the fact that we need to show as older adults, we need to realize some of the things we did at that age and not hold some of these younger people to the highest standard, because we, the people our age that's smart enough, know most of us couldn't have, couldn't have met the average younger person on their intellectual level of today. Some of the things they do today, because I was even shocked when I see my 9-month old operating a remote control when he was kid. Well, look what they do now, if you know what I'm saying. So these younger people now that are looking at us, not all, but some, oh, I don't respect that older person. They need to go somewhere. They need to retire, get out the way, whatever. They don't realize that when those younger people that are toddlers now, they're going to be way far advanced
Then they are.
exactly by that age. So there's got to be a level of respect in the ages. Did that make sense to you?
Yes.
It has to be a level of respect. We have to respect the fact that I learned from a lot of young people, and I still do. Maybe somebody from my job is listening now, but I work with some people in their 20s, and sometime I look and I say, man, I wish, and I say to myself, I wish that person would grow up. But then, reality hit, and I say, you know what? That was me. But some people in their early 30s or even mid, they just grow up a different way now. They mature at a different level, and their mind is
Lord,
able
they can't
to
take nothing.
to task at a level that at our time we didn't have to. The demands are on this society now is amazing, and the fact that a lot of the young people can't think too far past a pandemic. These are survivalists. These young people now. The what they call it now? That besides the Gen Z, I think they got the Gen Zero and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
millennial, Gen
yeah.
Zero.
Well, millennials. That's a kind of this. But yeah,
Oh yeah, because millennial was after me.
right. Let's show some respect in the ages group.
Not to say that the young people don't need to respect the elders, because
Right.
that is the case, and there's a lot of that disrespect going on now, where the young people they feel like they're still on the same level with the older people, but they're not, because we had a situation where somebody called me a girl along with their wife, and they were young, half my age, like I was old enough to be their mama. And I thought, no, no, that can't be. That can't be. No, you got to have some respect. I respect you, you respect me. It needs to go both ways, and we don't need to throw away our elders like we do a lot in this country. a lot of people just throw their elders away. They put them in homes and forget about them. Don't see them, don't talk to them or nothing, or they just leave them alone, don't talk to them. We need to, that needs to shift. We need to change
Exactly.
that. So there needs to be respect on both sides. We need to, talk to the younger people and, respect them at the place where they are, and not, watch our expectations of what we expect of them, because it's a different generation. As my husband just said, it's a different time. It's a different generation. They're not even raised like we were, and we think as older people that they can't take nothing, because we took a lot of stuff. Because for one thing, with us, our parents told us, get over it. My mom used to tell me, life ain't always fair. Get over it. don't even think about that. Just move on.
That part.
Shake it off. All of these things. But this generation, these kids, they fall apart when we say stuff like that to them. They be losing their mind and trying to kill themselves and all kind of stuff like that. And we, honestly, our generation, we don't really understand that, because we got over so many things and we dealt with so much that these kids don't have any clue and any idea how they would have dealt with it. Sometimes we look back and we think, how did we deal with it? But we did. We dealt with it. But these kids these days, oh my God. I think if you tell them to get over it, they gonna go get some therapy or something like that. Whereas we just got over it and moved forward. Now, not saying that probably didn't create traumas in our life, because it did. And it's a lot of things that, we unpack now as we've gotten older. We do meditation, and we, sit in quiet and different things like that in order to move through some of these traumas and stuff that we have. We seek out, Reiki and different healing modalities and different things, so that we can deal with some of the trauma and the issues that we had. But so one thing I just wanted to say was, make sure that the respect is going both ways, that we have some compassion for these younger people, because like my husband said, there's so many things that they deal with that we didn't have to, and so many expectations on them, and so much out here in the world that they have to endure.
Right.
And so we have to have compassion toward them, as well. And they also need to have respect for us, and also realize that, we're still here. So that means that hopefully we gain some wisdom. I used to think that all old people were wise, but I realized that's not true. However, if you have lived that type of life, they can respect us, and it's okay. And we can all congregate and coalesce, because we have a lot of young friends, and we love them and they love us, and they respect us, we respect them, and and that's how it should work. So if you're not doing that in your life with the people in your life, young people and older people, then maybe you need to sit back and evaluate, make some changes, make some shifts in it. And, and it just starts because it starts. When you decide it starts, that's when you start it. So if you have been guilty of, talking bad to the young people and, and all this kind of stuff, especially if you're, in our age group, and if you feel guilty about that, then just shift it and just begin to go ahead and change, today. Yeah,
and the thing is, if you really want to get sharp in life, spend some time around some seasoned people in life. They don't have to be 80, 90, whatever, but at the same time they could be, because even when I was in my 40s, I had a friend that was almost 90, and the history he told me about, and I didn't know this friend for a while, because I met him at a Starbucks, and I didn't realize for a while that he owned this big apartment building that was right over the Starbucks, rather, because he was so. And this is in Philadelphia, where you can own the building. you're pretty much, But he was a guy who had 3 retirements, and he had investment. He worked as the pullman, right? On the trains. He worked as he was a cop. He had these retirement, and he had something else going. And this man, I was so impressed with him. I had to bring my teenage son to have lunch with him one day so he could meet him. But he was 89, between 87 and 89. And he said, I never go to the doctor. He said, because my friends, they go in, they don't come out. And he was serious.
Sound like my dad.
Yeah. And he said, and he reached in his back pocket, and he had one of them taste bottles. About that, I'm not a drinker, so I don't really know much about, but I seen
Mini
it
bottle?
before. Huh?
Mini bottle?
Yeah. And he said, this is my doctor right here. and he would go and argue with his friend, was a pharmacist at the corner drugstore, and he would advise him on what to do, what to take, and he would argue with him a lot. But they were friends. But I hung out with this man at 40 something, because I knew at 40 something it was a lot I needed to know and needed to learn. Um, and even over 50, I looked at stuff, that, you know, but I learned from these people. I stayed under my grandmother when she was in her 80s and I was a teenager. Uh, uh, and I mean, I learned from these people. I come from a family where both my grandmothers were born in one born in the 1880s and one born in the 1890s. So I got as much as I could from these people, and I learned how to respect my elders and learn from them. And truthfully, I learned from young people too, because like Tammy said, this generation have so much coming at them at once. Yeah, we were told to get over it, but truthfully, we didn't get over a lot of things. We just took it and we passed it on to the next generation.
Or we pushed it down.
Yeah, it's called kind of generational trauma. We pass it on. We suppressed it, but it's still there.
Well, we got along to get along,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
that's a phrase that I learned that you get along to get along, got along to get along, and it's like, oh my God, but this generation is not doing that, and that's why we look at them and we say, oh Lord, you know, y'all can't take nothing, but we have to, be compassionate, and we have to understand. I actually saw a girl on TikTok talking about this very thing. How she has children that you know can't take nothing because we did, but the thing is we did it because that's how we were raised and that's what we were taught, and our parents, they didn't play with us. They did not play with us. you know and these kids, they're used to, I guess, people playing with them or pushing them, and then there's that other thing that we feel like that they feel entitled to everything. And see, we knew because we were taught that you don't just deserve stuff. I mean,
you earn it.
exactly. I remember when they used to say, I used to say, that's not fair. And the first thing that my mom would say was, life ain't fair. What you want?
Yeah.
It ain't fair. Shit happens and you just deal with it. But it's a kinder, gentler generation, just like the military. It's a kinder, gentler military because some of the things that they're doing in the military would never have been accepted in the past. And so the older veterans, they get a little upset about that.
It's still a great military, though.
Still a great military, but still yet different. It's like different. All right. So you want to wrap it up? Want to land this
Yeah.
plane?
Just keep in mind what this day coming up is about. What this weekend is about. Think past the good meals, the barbecue, the family gathering, and remember the ultimate sacrifice. It's the what the memorials for. It began in 1868, and it's been a good tradition to carry on. It began with the Union in 1868, and it's just it's just great, and whatever we can do for our veterans when they get back here, so they won't be part of these statistics, because you bring a lot of stuff home, and remember we're exposed to a lot of chemicals now, and a lot of other things, and the environmental challenges, even the way you treat it sometimes, and some of the young people in the military have to go through that now. I have a guy that's um, that's near my job now, that he's 100% disabled because the way he was treated, and traumatized by his supervisor. But it's a lot of things that there's hidden traumas, and
Lots.
anything you can do to help somebody not pay that ultimate price, that ultimate sacrifice. If you know somebody that a veteran can reach out to, uh, um, or you can direct that person in the right direction, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And we don't have to remember them on Memorial Day. They'll get past that part. But those that already have made the ultimate sacrifice, regardless whether it was over there or when they return home, uh, um, it's still a sacrifice,
Yeah.
because you carry these things with you. It's scars for life that you can't just suppress and forget about and get over. It's something that you have to address, that elephant in the room, so you won't be part of the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
Because, like I said, the battle is not just on the field. It's not just on the ocean or in the sky. It comes home with you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know anybody uh, uh, that you can honor while they're living,
Do so.
please do. And thank you for your service to all the veterans out there. Remember,
Yes.
we want to remember those people, like hospital corpsman Doc Todd, as his nickname with the Marine Corps.
Yes.
He's one of those. At 38, he paid the ultimate sacrifice back here, home, from all the exposure and the things he went through it and seen and did, and it tears you down.
Right.
He saved a lot of lives when he was over there. He was one of the guys that took Marines from the front line, over there in Afghanistan, and had them jump in water to keep them from dying from overexposure to the heat. He just rotated and kept people alive that way, because that's one of the biggest thing you can fight. Things you can fight in combat in some places is
The weather.
yeah, the extreme weather. And a lot of the young people, even some of the young people that I know, found out what it's like to what's the best way to say that without being offensive, but to put a stone through the smallest part of your body, gallstone, uh, uh, because you don't have a love for water. But keep in mind that all of this is some of the traumas that you bring back home, and sometimes you become part of the sacrifice, and you don't have to. And let's keep in mind what Memorial Day is about, and it's for those ultimate sacrifice.
Right. All right. So we're gonna land this plane. Thank you so much for joining us. on Sunday service with the Morrisons. Catch us again. We might take next Sunday off, huh?
We'll see.
Okay. We may take next Sunday off, but if not, y'all look for us. We'll be on because we enjoy coming on here and having these conversations. Thank you for those of you that ask questions. We actually will address that 3-word question on the next one because I'd like that. Because that is really helpful.
What was it? 3-word question?
It was 3 words that we use to describe each other.
Oh.
Like I would say protector.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Lovely, beautiful, wonderful.
Baby, we're going to address it next time.
Okay, we're going to address it next time. But it's still lovely, beautiful.
But yeah, I was going to say, I would say protector, supporter.
And we can go into details.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I would love for us to do. So we'll do that. But we thank y'all for joining us today. And we love the engagement and the conversation. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us on our DMs because you can DM us on every platform. You can Google me and find me anywhere. But we love to address that. So if you have any burning questions, especially relating to love and marriage, because that's really what we are here to talk about, because we want people to know that, love and marriage can be good.
Yeah, and being the most blessed Brooklyn guy in the world, having this Georgia peach next to me is a plus. I was blessed to get this girl from Savannah. My mother's from Mississippi, so everything about her just spoke to me. Tammy over here. It's something about a lot of us from up north, as we put. We always want to go back to our roots, and sometimes we do it with our wives or what have you. And I was happy to find somebody that had a heart like my mother, but we knew how to do a lot of things that my mother wouldn't sanction, and we have fun doing it. But that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother life.
Yeah. I got her cheeks turning red now. She's blushing a little bit, so I feel good about it. So we'll let you know how this day turned out. Okay.
So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, week, weekend. More if you're in the States, Memorial Day, all of those things, and don't eat too much, y'all.
Yeah, because you just stretch it out. If we're in your neighborhood, we can break bread with you, or Tammy can sign some books for you. She's a great writer, author.
And we'll be at Black Wall Street tomorrow in Seattle. So if you are in the Seattle area, in Western Washington area,
that's big, y'all.
Come and see us at the Black Wall Street. It is in Seattle.
That's big, y'all. That's big. I didn't know that's what you was talking about when you said the Black Wall Street. I was thinking about the Oklahoma thing. I didn't know we had one right here. This is like Seattle is like now this we haven't seen a day like this, but you can get there in like 28 or 32 minutes. Of course, to do that you would have to probably be traveling like
we're gonna travel to
2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock, I was gonna say
2 o'clock in the morning doing a weekday, because doing a weekend and people be clubbing.
It's a holiday, so you just never know.
Just thought about that. Public club. Yeah, people are gonna be out there.
Yeah.
Okay, peeps. Much love to you. Thank you for showing the love, the likes. Thank you for following. We will follow you back. The gift. And stay tuned. Share. Reach out.
Like. Subscribe if you're on YouTube.
Subscribe
and if you on TikTok want to go back and watch it again, you can go on my channel because it's on my YouTube channel. So you can find that in the bio, the link in the bio, or you can just put it in the Google search because I'll pop up Tammy Morrison.
Yeah, that part.
So if you want to go back and watch us, like if you came in late and you want to see what the show was about, you can always go back and watch on YouTube.
Yeah, and I had a 12-hour shift, so I'm gonna get some rest.
Yeah, so he's gonna go get some rest.
Do it again.
But thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye now.
Serenata.
Baby, Dang, acting stupid.
You be forgetting your stuff. Okay.
Damn, baby, 2,000 likes.
2,000, baby. They really like you. You should get some money, baby.